Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. As of last weekend, Marvel Studios had their Comic-Con Hall H panel where they announced all the latest tidbits for their upcoming projects as well as two major updates. We're going to be going in the order of the reveal, so there'll be timestamps dedicated to each of the sections. So if there's a particular section that you want to, then you can go ahead and check the timestamp below. We'll be going over in the order of announcements, so that'll be from Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, to the Fantastic Four, and then to the updates regarding the next two big Avengers films. So all this information that I'm about to read to you is via Variety.com. So first we'll go over the latest new tidbits and new info surrounding Captain America Brave New World. Captain America Brave New World electrified Comic-Con on Saturday with cast members Anthony Mackie, Tim Blake Nelson, Danny Ramirez, and Giancarlo Esposito, but it was the late panel surprise arrival of Harrison Ford that left the biggest impact as the film icon took to Hall H to massive applause. Footage from the film was screened during Marvel's presentation and confirmed that Ford's Thunderbolt Ross will indeed be transforming into the Red Hulk in the film. Ford gave the crowd exactly what they wanted, mimicking the Hulk's mighty roar. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige called Brave New World a return to the gritty action of Captain America the Winter Soldier, which put a spandex spin on the kind of paranoid thrillers that were so commonplace in 70s cinema, while Mackie teased that Marvel fans will be seeing a version of Captain America that is more cerebral. Mackie noted that Sam Wilson is not so much a muscle-bound guy like Steve Rogers, his mentor and the original Cap. Esposito also arrived with a bit of news revealing for the first time that he is playing Sidewinder, the king of the Serpent Society. The Serpent Society are this group of people all themed after snakes and reptilian kinds of animals, and they are more known to be Captain America villains. What makes this rather interesting is that they're finally being incorporated into a Captain America movie. Whenever they used the title Serpent Society Comic-Con years ago, before it was called Civil War, they called it Captain America versus the Serpent Society. But the Serpent Society title was just a fake out to actually reveal that Captain America 3 would be called Captain America Civil War. So it's finally cool to see the Serpent Society, which is known to have ties to the character of Captain America, finally being incorporated. Although as to what extent they'll be incorporated in will be the question, as an earlier version of the movie included Seth Rollins as a member of the Serpent Society, although his role may have been cut. Actress Rose Salazar's role as a member of the Serpent Society, known as Diamondback, may still be in the current version of the film, but with the reveal of Esposito playing the leader of the Serpent Society, I think this actually puts to rest that through leaks that Giancarlo would have been playing another comic book character known as George Washington Bridge. New footage from Captain America Brave New World played in Hall H began with Ford's Thunderbolt Ross, who is now the US president, addressing the ending events of Eternals at a meeting with world leaders that's called the Celestial Island Summit. It turns out adamantium has been discovered in the ruins where a dead celestial appeared in the ocean and is now the most valuable element on the planet. Ross is recruiting Sam Wilson, Captain America, to build a new Avengers team, but things don't go according to plan. By far, the biggest reveal of the footage was confirmation that Ford's President Ross will be ditching the Resolute desk to become the Red Hulk. The previous trailer confirmed the Red Hulk's appearance in the movie, but now Marvel fans know for sure that Ross is the man behind the muscles. Just when I think my nerdy life can get more complete, I hear Harrison Ford say adamantium. And that's all the latest and new tidbits surrounding Captain America Brave New World. There were rumors that Tiamat Island, which they're now calling Celestial Island, is going to be where they discover adamantium, and the fact that they're actually calling it adamantium, that can help pave the way for the MCU to eventually do their version of Wolverine, because Wolverine's known to have the adamantium skeleton. With this movie being the origin of adamantium, not only does this serve as the origin of the metal, which will soon be attached to the MCU's version of Wolverine, but also be another segue into that Super Soldier program, or the Weapons Plus program that Wolverine is technically a part of. Since the Steve Rogers experiment's success and with the death of Erskine's formula and the Super Soldier Serum, everybody's been trying to replicate or trying to do their own version of a Super Soldier Serum, which has varied in success in different forms. And Wolverine is technically a part of that program, that Weapons Plus program, fun. I watched the video of the panel and seeing the cast talk about it. Anthony Mackie was really playful. I love the fact that all the cast just looked like they were having fun together. I don't know if that's like gonna make the movie better for me, but at least seeing the camaraderie with these actors and them being fun, but whilst also selling you on the gravitas, or at least why we should really care about this movie, with one of those reasons being that it's going back to the Captain America Winter Soldier aspects of political thriller, espionage elements. It has gotten me excited, and I just really love the cast dynamic, and I just love that Anthony Mackie was like the very cheery kind of hyper one, and I just love that Harrison Ford was kind of cool. I mean, it was just fun seeing Harrison Ford just express joy. On to the next project, which is Thunderbolts. Marvel's newest super team, the Thunderbolts, made their San Diego Comic-Con debut on Saturday via first look footage and a relatively tight-lipped cast during the MCU panel. The entire cast joined the Hall H stage with Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige, including David Harbour in costume as Red Guardian. While info about the movie was kept to a minimum, some selected nuggets included Feige's revelation that the group's moniker isn't related to Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, saying that sometimes comic book writers just use the same names. I do find it interesting that this version of the Thunderbolts isn't tied to Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. That was my impression when I heard the name Thunderbolts, but I know very much too little about the Thunderbolts other than the fact that in lamest terms it's being described as Marvel's Suicide Squad. Julia Louis-Dreyfus said Valentina is after power, control, and I would say just generally she wants to kick some ass in the Marvel universe. Valentina's character, to me, at least in her appearances, minus the John Walker one in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm still not really sold on her character. In her appearances as the character, she's been somewhat of that Nick Fury character where she's just recruiting, but we haven't seen her be active. I felt like her role has been more so passive. She's just kind of there for the sake of being there. Hopefully this movie, to me, shows a lot more to this Valentina De Fontaine character, because in terms of prior MCU appearances, in terms of this newer phase of Marvel, I still don't feel her character. Like, I just kind of see her as like a Nick Fury light. Wyatt Russell quipped of his controversial character John Walker, "Everyone is going to effing love me. It's really, really fun to be with a group of actors that you have a good time with." Sebastian Stan reflected on the emotional journey of his time in the MCU, which started with 2011's Captain America, the first Avenger, saying it's like having 9 lives, how many are left? I'm so grateful to see everybody here. Harbour got sincere about his love for his Black Widow co-star Florence Pugh in this movie, saying, "I want to reiterate what Wyatt said about this group of people. They're all wonderful, but I do have a favorite. Her name is Florence Pugh. She is just electric to work with. There's warmth and humor, but there's also a lot of pathos." Florence Pugh herself shouted out the stunt team on the film, saying, "I think we all like feeling cool doing stunts, as well as this movie is so wonderful and bizarre, and it's very brave, and it's because of this cast." After checking in with the full ensemble, exclusive first footage was played which showed some of the stunt work that was promised during the panel, including a fight scene between Wyatt Russell's character of John Walker and Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova, action footage with the rest of the cast. Thunderbolts will release on May 5th, 2025 as the last film, Phase 5. In terms of the entire cast, we have Sebastian Stan, got David Harbour, we have Florence Pugh, we have Olga Kurylenko, who played Taskmaster in Black Widow, and we also have Hannah John Kamen, who played the character of Ghost from the Ant-Man and the Wasp film, and this was the more recent one. Top Gun Maverick star Lewis Pullman plays the powerful character of Sentry, although attendees at Comic-Con did say that they only referred to Lewis Pullman's character as Bob and nothing else. Sentry's real name is Bob Reynolds. And Lewis Pullman has been very coy about his inclusion in the film, or whenever it gets brought up about whether he's the Sentry character, he's playing very coy really. Because originally, Steven Yeun, who you've known from The Walking Dead, or how I know this actor more prominently, the titular character of one of the best superhero animated series He was initially set to play this version of Sentry, but apparently due to scheduling conflicts on the actor's end, he couldn't be able to make it. Now it seems as though Lois Pullman may be stepping up to the role of Sentry, and also actress Geraldine Vishwanathan is said to be in the film. On to the next announcement, which is Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four, which got not only a new subtitle, but there was apparently a lot, or at least like a kind of sizzle reel of some footage for the film, as well as a brief glimpse of Galactus. So by the time this video is already out, the footage has actually leaked. Like, I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it on YouTube. So if you haven't seen this footage, if it's still out there, do yourselves a favor and check it out. Maybe pause this video, watch that real quick, and come back. Marvel's first family assembled at San Diego Comic-Con on Saturday evening. A concept reel from the inaugural Fantastic Four installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was unveiled to Hall H attendees after an introduction by director Matt Shakman, giving fans a taste of the space-age aesthetic that will be incorporated into the superhero feature. A title was also revealed: The Fantastic Four First Steps. We're doing a retro future 60s. Sid Mead was an inspiration. The 60s to me is all about optimism, Shakman told the audience, expanding on the film's period setting while referencing the influential designer. I love the Fantastic Four, I love their power set. We want to be true to the comics, but we want to be true to life. Shakman then stepped aside to show a video meant to give fans a taste of the flavor of the superhero film. The footage had the tone of a newsreel, featuring moments such as Mr. Fantastic speaking to a bored classroom under a banner for Fantastic Science, the superhero teams flying fantastic car, spacesuits, a rocket launch, and the Thing being featured on a dating show as a mystery contestant. The sequence was capped with the shot of Galactus, the villain of the film. Also announced at the panel, Michael Giacchino will compose the score for Fantastic Four First Steps. The panelists are flying back to the UK on Monday, and production will begin soon after. The all-star cast of Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, aka The Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm, aka Human Torch, and Eben Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, arrived on the stage during Marvel's San Diego Comic-Con panel in Hall H. The cast also includes Julia Garner, Silver Surfer, and Ralph Ineson as Galactus, Walter Hauser, Natasha Lyonne, and John Malkovich in undisclosed roles. Wanted to mention, since it was already announced, that we will be getting a version of the Silver Surfer in this movie, and it will be played by actress Julia Garner. However, do not fret, because when the news was announced, people were already losing their shit and they were losing their damn minds because, oh no, they turned everyone's favorite character, Silver Surfer, a man, now into a woman. But do not fret, as in the comic books, there is an alternate version of Silver Surfer who's known as Shala Bal, who is actually the love interest to Norenrad, the most well-known Silver Surfer. The fact that they're referencing a lot to do with the love for 60s, I think this is pretty much straight up confirmation that this version of the Fantastic Four will take place on an alternate Earth. The Silver Surfer is known to be the herald for Galactus, who's played by Ralph Ineson. I didn't know who this dude was. This dude has a damn powerful and deep voice, and I saw a few clips of him, so I will probably play one right now, but just listen to this actor's voice.
1 year hence.
And the fact that we have that actor with that kind of a voice giving us Galactus, not only is it a stacked cast, but I also think they're really going all out in giving the Fantastic Four the kind of love and respect they really deserve, as their prior cinematic adaptations haven't reached the height of their potential success. I was someone who was a bit thrown off by the fact that they were going to go for this 60s kind of retro time period vibe and setting for the film. It's not going to be taking place on the main MCU timeline. I'm still open, and the fact that they're actually going to be exploring and actually getting insight into a different world feels very exciting. But I also think the reason why they're going to be setting it in an alternate world is because Galactus, he's the devourer of worlds. You don't just have Galactus in this movie if he ain't devouring a world. So I do think while we might get a moment of this new version of the Fantastic Four in there, or being celebrated, being celebrities of their world, being the only heroes of their world, I do think there will come a point in the film the Fantastic Four are literally backed into a corner by Galactus and his herald. No matter what the Fantastic Four throws at him, Galactus, he's just that big of a force that they just can't defeat him. I think Galactus will end up destroying this Fantastic Four's universe, whatever the ending may be for this film. I feel like it will segue into the next big Avengers installments, as it has been confirmed the Fantastic Four will be a part of the next two big Avengers installments. How the Fantastic Four will finally are brought into the MCU fold will be really interesting to see. If you've seen the footage, and it looks amazing. I love the footage, the way it looks. I like the way that it has like a kind of documentary feel to it. Fantastic Four really is shaping up to be a real cool, stylish period piece film, which I feel like we haven't had in quite a while. The only kind of thing that I feel like is close to that is Captain America: The First Avenger. Now onto the biggest, one of, if not the biggest announcements. There's been a lot of speculation on what Avengers 5 is going to be due to the circumstances involving Jonathan Majors and the fact that that's led to Kang role now up in the air. Loki season 2 found a way to sort of write Kang out, mention how the version of Kang from Quantumania has been dealt with, so they don't need to worry. But ever since then, it really has been, how will Marvel proceed forward now that this Kang character hasn't really done them justice? The kind of build up or the reception toward the character hasn't been well beloved. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty has been retitled with a full tilt pivot. The next Avengers films will both be directed by the Russo brothers, are uniting with Marvel Studios once again to helm the next superhero team-up feature. On Saturday evening, they made their return official by taking the stage at San Diego Comic-Con's Hall H panel to thunderous applause. When we directed Avengers Endgame, we really believed it was the end for us in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, said Joe Russo to the crowd. That 4-movie run was incredible and it left us creatively spent. However, in the time since, the duo found a very special story, and that convinced them to come back. In fact, it's the biggest story that Marvel Comics ever told. It's the reason that Anthony and I are standing up here, and that film is Avengers Secret Wars. But to build up towards the epic battle that is Avengers Secret Wars, the story would need the kind of instrument character that is required to do Secret Wars justice. And this is when they announced the official title for Avengers 5, which is Avengers Doomsday. Entire lights turned green. We see that name Doomsday, and we see green. That ain't DC Comics Doomsday, that is Victor Von Doom, aka Dr. Doom. We see a crowd of people in these cloaks and they got Dr. Doom masks on. I actually saw a different angle of this, but during that portion, there's this person who's in a full-on green suit and tux with that green cape, of course, to reflect the Doctor Doom colors, in a Doctor Doom mask as well. And to build this up, they said they wanted to bring this character to life, and they said they got to bring the greatest actor to bring this role of Victor Von Doom to life. The Doctor Doom cult of people just sort of like stood aside. If you got the figure in this all green tux, the hood, wearing a Doctor Doom mask, the actor steps out, he takes off the hood, takes off the mask. Robert Downey Jr. will be returning, but not as Iron Man, but playing a version of Doctor Doom in these next two Avengers installments. Avengers Doomsday will premiere on May 2026, with Avengers Secret Wars following in May 2027. Just because they announced Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars for 2026 and 2027 respectively, doesn't mean that we won't be getting other projects to fill in the gap. So we could be getting other movies that have yet to be revealed, and also other TV shows. I gotta say, I was genuinely ecstatic because, bro, you bring back Robert Downey Jr. I dare say the Godfather, but he is literally the one that started it all. We wouldn't have gotten the Infinity Saga if Iron Man did not work, and primarily if Robert Downey Jr. hadn't sold audiences on his portrayal as Iron Man. So to see him return, but return as Doctor Doom, is interesting. When news like this drops, you're gonna get a ton of opinions, and I have seen the opinions across the board. People do not like it. There are people that despise it. There's some that love it, some that hate it. There is an excitement for this reveal, and look, it's Robert Downey Jr. I do understand where people are coming from. They could have probably casted someone entirely new. And while there is a part of me that is excited, Robert Downey Jr.'s role and his character of Iron Man, to me, is very intrinsic to why I love the Marvel movies, why he's my favorite character. Of all the other Marvel characters, he's just, to me, the number one. Everything with Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal as Iron Man, to me, I've loved through and through. He will never not disappoint. Should they have gone with Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom instead of a evil version of Iron Man? Because it kind of feels like two good things on their own, which is Doctor Doom and the return of Robert Downey Jr., they kind of did a hodgepodge of the two. So now it is kind of leaving people feeling a bit nervous, feeling a bit scared, because some people are saying this feels really desperate, and I can kind of see why. Look, this Multiverse Saga was supposed to be Kang. I feel like they could have recasted Kang personally, because recasting in the MCU isn't new, because an actors that have been recast with so much attention back then, like how we had the recasting of Don Cheadle taking over Terrence Howard's role as War Machine, and Don Cheadle being the more prominent War Machine, and actress Gemma Chan. If y'all know Gemma Chan was in Eternals, but what you guys didn't know was that Gemma Chan was actually in Captain Marvel. Using the same actors and recasting the same actors isn't something all that foreign in the MCU, but I do kind of feel they could have gone the Superior Iron Man route. Superior Iron Man is the Iron Man you see from the comic books, where he has the white armor and the blue glowing eyes, and this was in an event called the Axis event, if I'm not mistaken, from Marvel Comics, where the minds of the superheroes and the villains got essentially switched. So the villains were actually good guys and the heroes were actually bad guys. So do some line switching shenanigans during the story when they got to swap back their minds. Iron Man during that story force fielded himself so that the effects wouldn't be able to be in contact with him. Post that Axis event, Iron Man still has that kind of evil mindset, so he becomes Superior Iron Man in the comics, where he makes that endosim armor, but more specifically, he creates a version of the Extremis, which is an app, and people use this app up to a certain point. They essentially turn ugly, and the only way for them to revert back to normal is if they pay a subscription fee. And essentially Iron Man kept abusing this. He was reverting back to his selfish, rich billionaire playboy ways, and he was essentially feeding off of the people's money because they had to buy off his Extremis service, and if not, they would just kind of remain ugly. If they had gone the Superior Iron Man route, maybe explored how when Tony Stark discovered the Mobius strip, that's how he discovered time travel, and through time travel, that's how he discovered alternate universes. But in doing so, it probably led him down the darker path, and that's how it led him to become this multiversal villain. Considering that they're going the Doctor Doom route does make it definitely interesting. Before Robert Downey Jr. was brought on stage, the Russos did reference Victor Von Doom. Does that mean that Robert Downey Jr. will be playing a variant of Doctor Doom, or will he be playing an Iron Man variant of some sort who's just gone down a dark path and assumed the Doctor Doom moniker? Because even in Marvel Comics, there was a version of Doctor Doom who assumed the role of Iron Man, and that's how he's known as the infamous Iron Man. Doctor Doom is a very interesting character, and with them going the Doctor Doom route, they're clearly taking inspiration from the 2015 Secret Wars, in which Doctor Doom seeks the power of the Beyonders, and in doing so, he rewrites the universe in his own image, creating Battleworld. I feel like the Russos were probably following that version of the story, but now they're just adding in Robert Downey Jr. as that Doctor Doom role. If you don't know, Doctor Doom is the bridge between science and technology, but also magic. He's essentially Tony Stark and Doctor Strange combined, which is what makes him powerful. Now with Robert Downey Jr. playing the Doctor Doom of these next two Avengers films, I can only assume that in Avengers Doomsday, he may acquire this omnipotent power on a multiversal scale that can allow him to write the universe in some form or fashion. Two theories I have is, one, the replacement for the Beyonders, if they may or may not do the Beyonders in the film. I think a good placeholder for that could be the God of Stories Loki, because if you remember Loki season 2, Loki makes the noble sacrifice, he destroys the temporal loom, but in doing so he grabs all the dead universes, revives them, he now sits on the throne at the end of time, and he's now the new He Who Remains. Of the new temporal loom, he's made a more organic temporal loom that is in the form of the Yggdrasil, which comprises of all of these branched timelines. Maybe this RDJ Doctor Doom variant will probably go seek out, or he'll try to find God Loki, and maybe he may kill him, and in doing so obtain his power. Not only is he getting the magical abilities which is associated to the character of Doctor Doom, but he's also now acquiring the power of the multiverses around him and the branched timelines. Or the second theory I have is that this RDJ variant of Doctor Doom may have found his universe's dark hole. Because why I think that is because Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness explored why Doctor Strange is a very dangerous individual, and on the 838 universe he used the dark hole so much that it ultimately ended up corrupting him. Maybe this RDJ Doctor Doom variant may have found a version of his universe's Darkhold, and in doing so he unlocked the multiverse. He essentially is now going to obtain that power and that control. This was really one hell of an announcement, to say the least, that you're bringing back the most iconic face of Marvel, but you're now making him the villain. This is some poetic ass shit, because this character started the cinematic universe, and the fact that he's going to be the villain for these 2 Avengers movies is insane. All I hope is that they somehow make it work. I totally agree on the opposite end with why this should not work and why they should not do this, but I also really want to have faith, and I really want to believe with my heart of hearts that they can somehow try and pull this off. I'm probably sniffing in an immense amount of copium, but I can't help but try at least. I think Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom doesn't mean that he's going to be playing Doctor Doom forever. Secret Wars, at least the ending of the 2015 storyline, putting an end to Doctor Doom in that story, Reed Richards' son, Franklin Richards, restarts and makes an all-new universe. So I could see the MCU's Avengers Secret Wars concluding with a sort of swan song or a goodbye to all of our previous characters. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and their roles as Spider-Man, even Hugh's Wolverine, and maybe also bring in the Fox X-Men as well. Doing the biggest amount of cameos and the biggest amount of team-ups and resolving that so that post-Secret Wars, when the universe softly reboots, not an entire reboot, could have the Avengers characters but maybe some of the OGs being recasted potentially, but also with the inclusion of the Fantastic Four now being a part of the MCU officially in a newly soft rebooted 616 sacred timeline. But we can finally have next phase forward, the X-Men. Pretty sure Kevin Feige has outright stated that the mutant saga is in effect. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, now that it's out, we're slowly but surely transitioning into that mutant saga. So yeah, if there's anything I like about this Comic-Con was that Marvel didn't decide to just show us a shit ton of projects. They really took a step back and really scaled down and said, okay, let's promote what we have coming up next year, but also give you updates on the 2 biggest projects. What are your guys' thoughts for the new information regarding Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four First Steps, the announcement titles for both the Avengers films being Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, the Robert Downey Jr. reveal of it all, and how are you feeling as an MCU fan? Let's not get into a fight. Let's have a conversation in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe as this shows your support. Click the bell notification icon as that will immediately notify you of when our videos go live. See you guys on the next one. Take care. Love you all.